Hello everybody, this is Danny Rabin from Marvin. Today I want to talk to you about Scott Henderson's style. It's I guess a part of the series of videos I've been doing, the how to play like my heroes basically. And I guess you guys like it and I'm happy to share some of the insights I picked up over the years. Talking about Scott has like two eras. He has the early tribal tech kind of era where he's playing like humbuckers with I would say like an Ibanez with a metal kind of sound. That's the era I like the best personally. No offense, Scott, I love you. But the second era is where he plays a Strat with a whammy bar, that kind of style, and that's what we're gonna focus on because that's a more recognizable Scott. You know, I think there's something totally epic about like that thing. It's kind of like, to me, a blend between Weather Report and Holdsworth, and he just kills it. But it's less distinct guitaristically than the stuff he's been doing later. So the stuff he's been doing later, first thing I want to mention is that you need delay. You need to have about that. And you need a saturated sound, unlike the Stevie thing where, you know, he has an overdriven sound where you play a note with your right hand and it lasts a little bit. This needs to last a while, right? So you really want to get that sound that's sustained. So you might need to add a distortion pedal, more gain from your amp, whatever. Not to a place where it's buzzy and gross, but you know, enough to hold the notes for a while. Other thing is that he plays with the treble pickup with the tone knob rolled off about halfway to get the sound. So a big thing that characterizes his playing is the upward wide vibrato, meaning pulling on the arm, not pushing the arm. For the that kind of thing. Now another thing he does is when he slides into notes and starts notes, he'll dip and release into the note. And then add that upward vibrato. Always holding the whammy bar. That kind of thing. So that's a cool, like, you know, I guess technical thing about his playing. Now Scott doesn't have a very developed right hand, so most of his stuff is in the left hand, and the right hand is more kind of a thing that propels the string into, oscillates the string, propels him into vibration to where he can do all of his all the Scott kind of things. So another thing he does a lot is play diminished scale. If you watch that Holdsworth thing, it's a similar idea but different shapes, and that's really what I want to talk to you about in this lesson thing. So imagine an A7, right? Or however you want to play it. If you look at it at this position around the 5th fret, if you want to apply a diminished scale to it, you would need to use the half whole, meaning getting 1, flat 9, sharp 9, 3, sharp 11, 5, 6, flat 7. The position, the most popular position would be like that diminished scale starting on the 6th fret. Now take a look at that shape. I'll tab it out for you. So it would be like 6, 8, 9, 6, 7, 9, right? And then that shape on the next set of strings would just go down a fret to 5, 7, 8, 5, 6, 8, and then repeat again, 5, 7, 8, 5, 6, 8. Now, just like I did in that How to Play Like Holdsworth video, if you didn't check it out, when it was like a wider position, right? And you could take one note out. This is really a 3-note per string pattern, and you can take away the middle note. And then you have this position, right? Or this pattern. just minor thirds like that. 6, 9, 6, 9, 5, 8, 5, 8, 5, 8, 5, 8. Now, mind you, this is the shape that goes with A7. So in a blues, if I'm playing a 12-bar blues, measure 4 in a blues is the last measure of the 1 chord leading to the 4 chord. That's where traditionally people play diminished to get into the 4 chord, to set up the 4 chord. So you can use that shape at that point. So I'll play you a blues, right? 1, 2, 3. So right there I played to lead into that D7. Now another thing, look how simple, like it's like a top of a pentatonic scale here, but then that pattern just repeating and repeating there. So you can do whatever you want improvising inside that, and you can also move it in minor thirds because it's a diminished scale. Right? Here, 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 and here. Now Scott does a lot of licks. Like patterns inside that thing. But you have to know when to apply it and how to resolve. Now, if I take a look at the full 12-bar blues, whenever I have a dominant chord that needs to resolve somewhere or a diminished chord, I can use the diminished scale. But it's not the same one. It's not in the same key. But really, if I take a look at how many diminished scales there are only 3. What do I mean? Here's 1, right? Here's 2, and here's 3. Once I get here, it's already an inversion of the first one, right? Because diminished scales are identical in minor thirds. So there are really only 3 places to play it. So the over-symmetric feel of the scale makes it hard to visualize because it's the same everywhere. But it's also simple in the sense that there's so little of them. You know, there's only 3 positions. Now, if I analyze a 12-bar blues in A, I have the 1 chord, just play like Mixolydian on it. And here I get to that A altered, or I wouldn't say altered, but like A, I would call it a 13 flat 9. If I play diminished on it, that leads to the D7, and on that I can play that thing. Now I get to the 4 chord, so D Mixolydian. Now measure 5 of the blues, I have an E flat diminished. On this one, the corresponding scale would be the same thing a fret down, meaning that pattern. Right? 4 7 4 7 4 7 4 7. Why? Take a look at this. Here's E flat. It's fully diminished. It's not a dominant chord. So it would be, if I were thinking about it like a dominant chord, I'd think about it like playing a D7, like the 4 chord. But that shape, removing the inner voices, so it's on the 4th fret, right? So back to A Mixolydian, and then F7, F sharp 7, which is the 5 of 2, and on F sharp 7, I'm playing. So F sharp 7, sorry. So on F sharp 7, really what I was confusing there. So it's really like the same as playing A7 because they're a minor third apart. So whenever you have chords a minor third apart, they get the same diminished scale. So on the F sharp 7, I can play the same thing I played on the A7 in the beginning, right? So the same shape starting on 5. Then I have a B minor, the 2 chord, just play B Dorian on it. And then E7, the 5 chord, and on the 5 chord, to play that diminished, I want to play the shape starting on the 6th fret. So really, to play a blues, I have to play all 3 of my diminished scales, all 3 positions for it. So I'll just run through it once. So A mixolydian, diminished, then 4 chord, E flat diminished, back to A mixolydian, F sharp 7, 5 chord, E7. So it's a pretty out there sound. So I'll run through it again without speaking so I can play a little better. 1, 2, 3. All right, got it? See you next time.